everyone. Today we are going to go back to the 70s and celebrate wine and cooking with wine and making one amazing dish that you're going to love. Let's get started. Hey everyone, this is YesterKitchen and I'm Jill, and today we're going to go right back to the 70s, my favorite place, to talk about wine. I know wine is huge right now and I love to go wine tasting and we all love our wine, but the 70s and wine, you know, it existed forever. But the 70s really embraced wine. I mean, out of the 70s came rosé, came white Zinfandel, came cheese fondue, love it. And came Sunday brunch with mimosas and Bloody Marys. I mean, come on, you keep asking me why I love the 70s? There are some great reasons. And one of my favorite wine stories out of the 70s was from Helen Gurley Brown. Do you remember her? She was actually the editor-in-chief of Cosmopolitan magazine back in the 70s, back in the heyday. And Cosmopolitan, yeah, it still exists today. It's still a great magazine. But back then it was new and exciting. It gave women a chance to talk about women's issues, sexuality, questions, and addressing just all kinds of things as women were progressing into who we've become now. And there was a diet that Ms. Brown popularized. That was the wine diet. Seriously, you could lose 5 pounds in 1 week, and you're pretty much drinking an entire bottle of white wine every day with a little bit of food mixed in. Here it is. Take a look. Is this fabulous? This was just, you know, diet fads come and go. Well, this was a huge one back then. So we are going to celebrate cooking with wine from the 70s with this Sunset book. Ta-da! Cooking with Wine. This is from 1973 and it is glorious. So today we're going to do drumstick dumplings, which is straight out of one of my favorite cookbooks. And it is really using refrigerated dough to make a dumpling out of chicken that we're going to cook in a wine sauce. Today we're going to use vermouth. I love this recipe. It's fun. It's not exactly quick, but it's easy. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we have a nice big pan all heated up. And we are going to take 1 tablespoon of butter and just let it start melting. To that, we are going to add 6 chicken thighs. Now, the original recipe is before you could really buy chicken thighs skinned and deboned. So I'm going to go ahead and skip that whole thing and make it easier for us. See, I want to make it easy. Let's get these started and I'll keep cooking. So in goes the chicken thighs. So the recipe actually calls for cooking the chicken thighs with the skin and the bones because that's how they bought them, and then letting it cool down and taking out the bone while leaving the shape of the chicken. So I am making life so much easier on myself and on you by just getting skinless, boneless chicken thighs. You can use drumsticks too. Those you're going to have to buy on the bone. I haven't seen boneless chicken drumsticks yet, but if you want to use them, that's totally fine. And we're going to let these brown. I'm going to say we're going to go about 4 or 5 minutes on each side. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes. After 5 minutes, I flipped our chicken over. Remember, we're not cooking it through, we're just cooking the outside. So take a look. See, it didn't get quite as brown as I like. Sometimes I wonder if it's because I'm cooking on electric, but it's okay because they're still cooked on the top. As you can see, we've got some browning going on. So before I say goodbye to our talk about Helen Gurley Brown, I just want to tell you her famous quote, which you've probably heard of. Good girls go to heaven, but bad girls go everywhere. That's who she was. That totally signified the 70s, and she was just an amazing woman. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to add 1.5 cups of chicken broth and 1/2 teaspoon of celery salt to the chicken. I'm just going to go ahead and mix the celery salt right into the chicken broth. And I have my little whisk, because that way you know your celery salt will get really well mixed into the broth. If you just sprinkle it on top of the chicken, it'll mix in, but you might have some clumps. So this way we're just taking care of that problem. So into the pot it goes. Ooh, got really quiet in here. So now we're just going to cover the pot. Got a lot of stuff on my countertop today. And we are going to let this thing simmer for 30 minutes. Okay, so it's been 20 minutes. I know I said 30, but I forgot to tell you something. Sometimes I do that. If you're cooking bone-in chicken, drumsticks or thighs, you're going to want 30 because it takes a little longer. I'm making boneless, so I'm in for 20, and it's perfect. Take a look. Ooh, let all the steam out. There we go. Take a look at that. Okay, yes, I do know that that is more of a simmer than more of a boil than a simmer, but for you guys, when I cook, I'm cooking on electricity and sometimes it's hard to adjust. I'm always going back and forth, but try to keep it on a simmer. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we are gonna remove our chicken thighs and put them on my favorite Fiestaware plate. I love these things. I actually have, my Fiestaware set is one of every color because I couldn't make up my mind and I kind of liked it better that way. Okay, so we're gonna put these here, and this is when, if you are going with bone in, you're gonna let these things completely cool off, and then you're gonna very carefully take off the skin and remove the bones while trying to keep the shape. And that's why I'm using a 2020 version and going boneless and skinless. Okay, but we still have all these pound juices. What are we gonna do with that? This is where our wine comes in. So the wine for this recipe is vermouth. I love vermouth because you know me, you know I love my dirty martinis, and vermouth is always part of that. My favorite is called Molly Pratt, just like that. And if you want to know more about my special dirty martini, I teach you how to make it right there. This is not the cheapest vermouth. You can get whatever price point you want. Any vermouth will work for this. You're cooking it down, it's going to be fine. It's still going to have that base vermouth flavor. So we've got half a cup of vermouth, and we've got 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. And we're just gonna dump, and try not to make a mess, but we definitely are. Get all their cornstarch in there, because guess what we're gonna do? We're gonna make a gravy. So I'm gonna take my cute little whisk, and we're gonna whisk that in. Just mix it until it's completely all mixed together, and you just don't feel the clumps anymore. It doesn't take very long. And then, into the pot it goes. It's that simple. I'm gonna use a bigger whisk to stir it, and you're just gonna set your temp pretty high and just stir it until it thickens. Let the cornstarch do its magic. So we'll be right back when that happens. So it's been about 4 minutes. You're not looking for country gravy thick. You're looking for just slightly thick, like our egg foo young. Remember that? Like that kind of thick. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and turn off our heat and push this all aside and not take the cord with it. That'd be kind of a disaster. Okay, and now in comes our 9x13. And meanwhile, I've started my oven on 400 because you're gonna wanna cook the dough. Okay, so all that happens now is you pour your gravy. As you can see, it's just a little thickened, but not like, it's not broth, it's not gravy. Kind of perfect. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get this out of the way, and we are gonna bring in our biscuits. So, I know, we'll get to that. So, normal refrigerated biscuits, that's what I used. And, 8 biscuits, here we go. I know we only did 6, but these guys are not gonna fit in there, so we're gonna have to cut them. It'll all work out. So, here is our biscuit right out of the can. And the first thing you're gonna wanna do is just kind of stretch it a little bit, just like that, till you get to these guys. And then you want your trusty rolling pin. And you just wanna roll them out pretty much as flat and big as you can get them. I've already done the rest of them for you. Let's see, you just wanna kind of do that. Let's get that one out of the way. Get that one in there. And there we go. And these are our dumplings. So it's not Chinese dumplings that we're doing whatsoever. We're doing very American 70s dumpling-ish dumplings. Okay, so we've got our cooled, boned, everything chicken all sitting there. Now one thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take all this chicken broth and drain it into the pan. It just adds extra flavor. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take one of our cooled, almost cooled chicken thighs, and we are gonna I'm gonna cut it in half. I'm gonna take our chicken thigh, put it right in the middle, and you're just gonna start wrapping all this dough. Just kind of pinch it and hold it and pull it, just like that. Make sure it's all pinched in the center so it's all together. And you have this cute little bundle. You take your bundle. It's empty. I've got to buy more. Got to move you. You take your bundle. You put it all pinched side down right in the gravy. And I'll be right back when the rest of them are done. All right, so I'm almost done. I'm just gonna finish this last one for you. And I'm already trying to figure out what questions you're gonna ask. Know that chicken doesn't have to be cold. It just has to be cool enough that you can handle it. And you are gonna have a little bit of chicken left, maybe. I am. I have about that much left because by the time you cut and everything, I'm just not gonna need it all. But you can always get an extra can of rolls and you can easily double it. Well, you can't double the recipe unless you have a second 9x13 because you're gonna kinda need this. And I'll show you this in 1 second. So anyway, we're gonna finish pinching this together. And now, that out of the way. A lot of out of the ways today. And this is what you want. This beautiful, beautiful biscuit wrapped chicken in this fabulous vermouth gravy. You're gonna love it. So the last thing you're gonna do is you're gonna take about a tablespoon of milk, a little brush. I can't find my other brush, so we're using this today. And we're just gonna glaze the top of the biscuits with the milk. Yes, it's okay if a little milk goes into the gravy. Everything's just fine. This is cooking. This isn't science. Well, baking is, but cooking isn't. So we're just gonna go with fun today. Okay, all our little biscuits are covered. And now they're gonna go into our 400-degree oven for about 20 minutes. You're gonna take a look and make sure that your biscuits are all browned. We'll be right back. Okay, we're done. I let it go about 25 minutes. This is kind of a recipe that you kind of need to look at the bottom. See the top of your biscuits, sorry, take a look, it's gorgeous. The top of your biscuits are beautifully brown. The bottom of your biscuits are cooking in the gravy, so it's almost like you're poaching them, kind of like if you were gonna do like a chicken and dumplings with refrigerated biscuit dough. So it's like that. So you wanna kind of look down and see that the bottom of the biscuits are actually cooking. And I took a look at 20 minutes and they weren't quite there. When I tested the recipe, it was perfect. You never know. Today, it took 25. So take a peek at 20 minutes. If it's still not quite solidified, and you're not looking for a solid biscuit, you're looking for a loose biscuit, but cook through, go another 5 minutes. And then here you go. This is like a gorgeous company dish right out of the 70s. Let's serve one up. I'm gonna put that there, right in the center. And then remember that gorgeous gravy with the vermouth we've made? We're just gonna kind of put it all around the outside. And of course, I know you wanna see what it looks like on the inside. I gotcha. Let me just move this. It's extremely hot. Okay. So here's our beautiful, beautiful, officially called drumstick dumpling. Look at that. See? It's perfect. And it is so good. And this gravy is just, I mean, it's not very, very boozy. It's just got a hint of vermouth and it's perfect. And we'll do more cooking with wine because I kind of like this. If you have an idea, let me know. I'd love to do it for you if I can. If you would like to explore more dishes from your childhood or just the past, I invite you to subscribe. I release new videos every Friday. In the meantime, here's a few more retro dishes for you. And remember, every dish, even drumstick dumplings with wine from the 70s, has a story. I'll see you in the next video.